welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. We're back this week, Tom and Max. We're seeing strong partnerships all over the field at Everton at the moment, and we've got a strong partnership for the podcast again this week. We're back. How are you doing, Max? You alright?
Very well, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Today we're going to be talking about the improvement in Everton's defence that we've seen in recent weeks. Obviously, it's been 5 clean sheets in the last 6, something like that, and we're looking really strong now. And obviously, with the late change at the weekend as well, it didn't throw us off at all. Obviously, Phil Jagielka had to come in for the Michael Keane, and it didn't throw us off our game whatsoever. And Jagielka obviously scored what turned out to be the winner. And it seems we can't go wrong with defence at the moment. It seems, obviously, I think a major factor is Seamus Coleman playing back into form, but it seems we are. It doesn't matter if we swap things around at the back. We've had Yerry Mina in. We've had several different partnerships with Kurt Zouma, Yerry Mina and Michael Keane, and obviously Jagielka now as well. And they all seem to be working. We're strong at the back, whatever combination we play. Obviously with Nicodine playing into form as well. What do you think? What do you think about it, Max? How have we managed to get this consistency in defence, even though we have played with different partnerships?
Well, it is really interesting, isn't it? Because you said you examine the earlier part of the season, and you'd say Everton's biggest downfall was our defence, in that we never seemed to get to grips with zonal marking, and we conceded far too many silly goals. I'd say, obviously, I think a key part of our season everyone attributes is the 17-day gap. After we were beaten, who were we beaten by? Was it Watford? We got beat 1-0 by Watford.
Yeah.
Really disappointing. At Vicarage Road, we had that big international break. Came back against Cardiff, albeit not the strongest of oppositions, but there seemed to be, a new look Everton, organised, forward thinking. And just to add on from what you were saying, obviously, a lot of the defenders have been in form, and they've certainly brushed up. But I'd attribute the overall defensive performance down to the entire squad. Like, there seems to be a serious improvement in work ethic, an improvement in fitness, because inconsistency was also a huge issue with Everton, in that we could never seem to put together a strong 90-minute performance. But players are looking capable of managing a 90 to 95-minute performance without flagging towards the end, which is really beneficial, in that we've kept, as you say, 5 clean sheets in our 6 games now. And no matter who we seem to have in that defence, obviously we've been unfortunate with it looks like a long-term injury to Yerry Mina. We wait and see on him again. The illness, obviously to Michael Keane, and Jagielka stepped in. And I think at any other point of the season, obviously prior to that 3-0 win against Cardiff, we may have folded, because obviously I said 5 clean sheets in our last 6. That one game where we did concede, obviously, was that 3-2 capitulation against Newcastle, where we conceded 2 goals, 3 goals later on in the game, where we just seemed to fold. Like, I believe bringing Jagielka in at any other point of the season, we might have folded there against Arsenal, but because Pickford's been playing well, the rest of the defence have been playing well, Jagielka stepped in and he was confident, and I think that breeds confidence for the rest of the team. Everyone is speaking really highly of the midfielders too. So Idrissa Gueye, we all know what he's like. I haven't checked in a while, but he's more or less always within the top 2 or 3 players in terms of tackles and ground covered in the league. Andre Gomez too, he's really been putting a shift in defensively. Richarlison, I feel like, is one that has gone under the radar, and you can attribute a lot of his work to Coleman's improvement too. I feel like they've conjured up a real good partnership down that right hand side in terms of defensively, and Bernard too. So it's great to see, in particular, these new signings. They've seemed to burden the defensive responsibility, because obviously we got Fulham at the weekend. You juxtapose that to Fulham, some of their new signings, like you said, Tom. Some of them, they're just conceding goals at will sometimes, and it doesn't look like their players have really got to grips with the Premier League and that physical demand of your game. That it doesn't seem to be there, but it looks like it's slowly but surely developed within this Everton side. And I think I'll end what I'm saying with, How long do you reckon we can continue this run of clean sheets?
As long as we keep defending as a team, as you say, literally that's we saying the defence is improved, but it's more than that really. It's the midfielders helping out the defenders, and we're defending as a team, and attacking as a team. And rather than like the back four and Pickford, they're keeping the clean sheets. It is the midfielders as well, like you were saying. Bernard getting back, he's tenacious. Like he may be small, but he puts himself around. He sprints back and he puts himself into a challenge. Like he's a little aggressive lad, isn't he? Like, and you've got like Richarlison obviously as well. He's aggressive as well. He gets back fast, covers Coleman when he needs to, and just the protection from Andre Gomez as well. And Gay. I think Gomez covered something mad like 7 or 8 miles the weekend, and he just covered. I've noticed he covers the fullbacks quite a bit. If the fullbacks are getting up, Andre Gomez will drop in either side and be able to cover them wherever the threat's coming from. And that's a big part of his game defensively, as well as what he can do going forward. But Garner as well, just breaking up the play consistently. Like he's come back I think he's on top of his game at the moment. I think he's playing really well. Obviously, he had a bit of a blip in January when his eye got taken off the ball a little bit with the move to PSG being in the offing. But he's really got his eye back on the ball, and it's just defending as a team. It's not just the defence; it's really the midfielders as well, and even the press from the front as well, because we are pressing really well. I've noticed part of the upturn in form is down to our press that we just seem to have. We've just started doing recently, I think, pressing from the front. Like Calvert-Lewin's getting involved as well, and Sigurdsson running at people further up the pitch than they have been doing. So the high press has been part of the why we've been keeping clean sheets as well, I think. So it's not just the defence, it's the whole team, and that's what you can attribute it to. So I do think it can, if we carry on playing like this, it can carry on for quite a while, and hopefully against Fulham. But do you think we can keep a clean sheet against Man United next week?
That's an interesting one. Obviously, they played Barca. I didn't watch them against Barca. Did you watch the Barca Man U game last night?
Yeah, watched that. They didn't have a shot in target all game.
That makes it interesting then. I mean, I know I'm not saying that we're Barcelona or anything, but that does make it interesting that they're going to go through a blip of form where they're not creating chances. Fingers crossed, but I don't know. Coming up against Lukaku, mate, I could that's got headlines written already, hasn't it? But you know, just an interesting point that you opened up there, which I feel like, you know, it's going in the right direction. This new pressing game that seemed to have emerged, that we seem to have adopted, as I mentioned earlier, I think a huge part of that's down to our fitness improvements over the last couple of months. But obviously, I think in modern football, you've got two overarching dominant philosophies. You've got, you know, the gegenpressing, as Mr. Jurgen Klopp likes to refer to it, which is that pressing from the front, which you know, one of the finest sides that I've ever saw emulate that was his Dortmund teams around 2012, 2013. And on the flip side to that, you've got Tiki Taka, Pep Guardiola, which I think he has had to alter slightly in adapting to the Premier League, but obviously we've seen it last season with how dominant Manchester City were, and you know, they are getting on really well this season despite Liverpool playing as well as they are. Which of the two philosophies would you rather see Everton adopt in the medium to long term future?
It's interesting because they're the two that are battling out at the top, really, isn't it? You've got Pep Guardiola's like tiki-taka kind of thing, and you've got up against Jurgen Klopp's gegenpress, and they're the two massive forces battling out in the Prem. So which one do you go with out of them two? Which one suits us more as a team as well? And I'm going with the press at the moment because I'm watching this press in recent weeks, and that's been a massive part, as we've said, in our upturn in form. I think this new press. So I think I'd rather go with that because we've seen at times that some of our players, like when they're on their best run of form, couldn't string a few passes together. So to play tiki-taka, you've got to have the quality. You've got to have people who can instantly know where everyone is around them, and just literally just like absolute genius. Like you've got to work on that for ages. You've got to sign specific players like Barca have, and I don't think Everton have that, to be honest. So I'd go with the press myself. Would you?
Yeah, and just on that, like 100%. Like I think with tiki-taka, there is a preference to technical ability over physical ability. Like it doesn't necessarily matter if you can play, if you can run your socks off for 90 minutes. Like for example, prime example, Barcelona 2011. Xavi, Iniesta, they're not going to bust the gut for 90 minutes. Obviously, they're not playing in the Premier League, and there's not as much of a physical demand, which is probably why that philosophy is more predominant throughout Spain, La Liga. But you shift that, and I think it comes full circle to the point that the Premier League is just kind of different. You've seen Sarri struggle to adapt the tiki-taka style, which obviously it's highly dependent on that pivot in the midfield. He's tried to do it with Jorginho. That's not really happened, and I don't think Everton, like you say, Tom, I don't think Everton have the characteristics or a player with the characteristics of a pivot. So yeah, I'd 100%. I'd as you say, if it's working for us, I'd prefer us to adopt the press. That might change going forward. Obviously, I think our player who embodies that relentless, dogged press is Gay, as you say. Obviously, had his head turned by the interest shown by PSG, and I think the identity that Everton Football Club adopt going forward, it may hinge on whether Idrissa Gueye goes in the summer, because if he goes, obviously we're going to have to look into the transfer market for a replacement, but it's highly unlikely that we're going to replace him with, obviously we've got no European football, well, we've got no Champions League or definite Europa League to offer to anyone, so I don't think we're going to attract a high top level player that can press like him, like a Rabiot, or the top level players that emulate that press. They demand European football, and maybe Marco Silva's going to adopt a tiki-taka, more technical side. But I don't know, as you say, it's what works. It's what works for us at the minute, and with some of the players that we've got, it seems like they're adapting significantly well too. How do you think Gylfi Sigurdsson has come on recently? In obviously since we've adopted the press, Tom, because I've seen a lot of social media, Twitter in particular. Sometimes they're on his back, but in this good turn of form, obviously what is it? 13 league goal, not league goals. I think it's like 12 league goals, but 13 all season. So he's got an influence in terms of turning in numbers for goals and assists, and I think he's been involved in more players in more goals than any other player since he's joined the club. Do you think? What do you make of his current turn in performance?
He always covers a lot of ground. He does a lot of running for the team. That's always been part of his game. I think it's well known that in his last season at Swansea, he covered the most ground than any other player in the Premier League, and he's continued that. To be fair, he still does a lot of running. He's still a similar player than he was in terms of work rate, but on the ball, sometimes he does go missing quite a bit. Even in recent weeks when we've been playing really well, like I'd say, was it the first half against Arsenal? He was a bit quiet. He got more chances in the second half, and he took a few decent chances, but he wasn't able to take them, obviously. But he had the goal. But he has gone missing at times, even in recent weeks when we have been playing well. I'm not sure if it's because he's obviously work rate off the ball, he's running around and he's struggling to get back, but like into position for the attack. But he does go missing a little bit on the ball. Yeah. So he's not like one of, if you're talking about our informed players at the moment, our best, like on the top of the game, I'd say like the likes of Bernard, like Calvert-Lewin's playing better than we've seen him. Luca Dean obviously having a great season. Seamus Coleman's come back into form, but in terms of our informed players, I wouldn't put Gylfi up there at the moment, to be honest with you.
I mean, I think he's benefited now from having Calvert-Lewin, and I think Calvert-Lewin's obviously you'd list Calvert-Lewin as, if not our top informed player at the minute, and I think Gylfi Sigurdsson's maybe just been passed by in that, if you have a healthy on the field relationship between an attacking midfielder and a striker, the attacking midfielder probably shouldn't be taken as much praise, and maybe that's the way you want it in terms of on paper results, because it should be your centre forward that should be turning in terms of goals and getting the accolades in terms of player performances. Obviously Calvert-Lewin hasn't got as many goals as Sigurdsson this season, But as you say, in terms of Sigurdsson's work off the ball, I've been a massive fan of Sigurdsson since he come to Everton. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, and then some people brandish him as a luxury player. My biggest criticism of him, up until I'd say our decent turn in form, is that on the press, although he covers a lot of ground, he's not as assertive with putting the foot in and intercepting that ball high up the field. But he always seemed, as you say, he always seemed to be that one leading the line, didn't he? In terms of being the first one to press, being first to the ball. As I said, maybe not always getting the foot in, but it looks like the likes of it looks like the players around them, such as Richarlison, such as Bernard and Calvert-Lewin, have seen just how influential taking that the high press, and just how that can change games for you. Obviously, it pins the opposition back, and by all accounts for Everton, it's limited chances in terms of the opposition. Maybe that benefited us there, because how many times, for example, last season and earlier on, even in this season, have we said Jordan Pickford just being exposed to far too many shots? But you look, what was it, 23 shots against Arsenal? How many shots were it against West Ham? It was double digits again. Yeah, I'm sure. I think it was something like 13. That's literally defending from the front, as you say. We spoke about the defence, and how that's certainly give them confidence. But and regardless of the centre back partnerships, the confidence is there, and we see him. We see him convicted in what we're doing, and sure of ourselves, which has been a long time since we've seen that from an Everton side. Going forward, I know obviously it's kind of up in the air about whether or not Kurt Zouma is gonna be an Everton player next season. What's this centre back partnership going forward, Tom? Is it Michael Keane and Yerry Mina, or would you go all out to try and get Zouma?
It's a shame not to see Mina in the team, because obviously we've always wanted to see him. He's a great character, and he's a good player as well. When he keeps his head, he can lose his head at times, but when he keeps his head, he's a really solid player and great in the air as well. But he's obviously come with his problems in terms of injuries, and he's been out quite a bit. And I think that might be one of the reasons why Manchester United didn't go as strongly in for him as we did, because of his injury history, and he might have a weakness in there. So I think we do need another really strong centre-back if we are going to keep Mina in there in terms of one of our main centre-backs. We do need another main centre-back like Zouma. It's a shame that he's keeping him out of the team, but he can get injured quite easily, Yerry Mina, which is a shame. But obviously I'd like to see us sign Kurt Zouma going forward, but with the transfer ban being placed on Chelsea, it'll make him a little bit more expensive maybe, and because they want to keep him. I'm not sure how that'll affect things, because they have got strength at centre back. To be fair, they've got players who want out of the team though, because they aren't getting enough opportunities, the likes of Gary Cahill and Andreas Christensen. So I'm not sure how that'll affect them. But I'd love to see us sign Kurt Zouma, because those three to choose from, as well as Jagielka, it's a luxury to choose from, really, isn't it? Because I'd like to see Jagielka as well, just as a final thing as well. I was thinking to touch on, obviously Jagielka's just had a great performance, coming in last minute and scoring. Do you want him kept on next season?
See, I've noticed that this question's kind of thrown itself back up, obviously since that performance, but I don't mean to be overly critical when I say this, but just in the medium to long term future of the club, I don't think it's in the best interest. He was the first 36-year-old to score in the Premier League this season. He's been an absolutely fantastic player for Everton over the years. What is it, like 11, 12 years since he's been here, and he's been a fine example of a professional footballer. Hence why he's been our captain after Phil Neville left. But you've got Mason Holgate coming back, and for me, that in terms of you slot to centre back, I'd place Mason Holgate above Phil Jagielka in the pecking order. Would I let him go? I'm not 100% sure on that. I think he's a hugely influential player to have in and around the dressing room. I've seen it firsthand. He's a top pro to have in there in terms of how he keeps the mood, how he keeps the mood high, and he's a senior figure, and you do need those in your dressing room. However, as I said, in terms of the medium to long term future, I don't think that's wise. I think another senior figure in the dressing room, Seamus Coleman. I think Seamus Coleman's more or less assumed that position as the captain of the team, whether or not he actually has the armband on. But I think going forward, mate, we've got to look to the future. It's not. I don't think we're signing anyone like Matthias de Ligt anytime soon. But as I said, Mason Holgate and keeping that eye on the future is what's better for the club.
Yeah, he's probably as much as we love him, he might be blocking the pathway for the younger players to come in, and that's the last thing he wants, I'm sure, himself. I'd hate to see us losing though, so I really do hope he stays on as a coach, if anything, next season, just to be there, help the dressing room, because he really is a character that we could could do with keeping, to be honest. So I'm hoping he stays on as part of the coaching staff anyway. But yeah, proper good Everton talk that. So I hope you enjoyed the segment. Give us a like, comment and subscribe to the Toffee Blues channel, and of course check us out on social media. We've got our tags here. Have a look on the work we're doing. We're doing a few articles between us on the Toffee Blues website, which has recently been updated, so go and have a look. Max has been doing the match reports, and I've been doing I did the player ratings last week and the loan report as well, so have a look at those and the stuff we're doing ourselves as well, so have a look. So thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and join us next time on the Toffee Blues.